Intimacy of touch with moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. With the moon in Punarvasu, touch is a homecoming. It is not loud or urgent. It is restorative. You don't reach for touch to impress or claim. You reach for it to reconnect, to realign, to remember who you are in another's presence. You want to be touched like someone is returning to you after lifetimes apart. Gently, with awareness, with quiet reverence for the space you hold. Ruled by Aditi, the mother of the gods, and anchored in Gemini and Cancer, Punarvasu carries a blend of mental flexibility and emotional sanctuary. This gives your moon a special texture. Touch must feel familiar but fresh, light but full of presence. You're not drawn to intensity for its own sake. You're drawn to touch that says, "You're safe now. You can soften." Your emotional body responds most to touch that heals without taking over. A light brush on your arm when you're overthinking, a hand that rests, not grabs, when you're unraveling. Touch that lands with clarity and care opens you. Touch that's rushed, chaotic, or emotionally unclear, your body closes off, not out of rejection, but to protect the sanctuary within. You may crave physical closeness in quiet moments, especially when words no longer suffice. A slow cuddle, a shared breath, a forehead press. These gestures return you to yourself. But you're also sensitive to energy. If someone's touch comes from confusion or avoidance, you feel it instantly. For you, physical contact is only intimate when it's emotionally honest. In relationships, you give touch in ways that stabilize and soothe. You might place a hand on a partner's back to center them, or offer consistent physical rituals that feel grounding. Like always holding hands while walking or resting your head in their lap during long conversations. Your moon seeks to anchor love in the body through repetition, tenderness, and timing. But if you're overwhelmed or emotionally depleted, you may become physically distant. Not because you've stopped loving, but because touch must come from fullness, not force. You recharge alone. You reorient inward. And when you're ready, your body naturally reaches back out, with presence that's quietly generous. To deepen this intimacy, speak softly and clearly. Say, "I open most to touch that feels gentle, emotionally attuned, and intentional." Or physical affection helps me feel safe when it's steady, not overwhelming. These are not restrictions. They're keys to your nervous system. And allow yourself to be touched before your mind is ready. Let the hug land before the analysis begins. Let the warmth in before the story forms. Let love in before you've made sense of it. Because when touch becomes not pressure but permission to return, when it offers emotional clarity without demand, your Punarvasu moon finds the intimacy it was born to hold. A love that touches you like a sanctuary being rebuilt, again and again. A closeness that says, "You don't have to be ready, you just have to be here. I'll meet you gently every time." Intimacy of sensate with moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu moon, sensate intimacy is about restoration through simplicity. You don't need extravagance, you need coherence. Your senses are like tuning forks, attuned to the emotional integrity behind every sound, scent, glance, and texture. You connect most deeply when your environment and relationships offer sensory safety, a space where your body can exhale and your soul can land. Punarvasu, ruled by Aditi, goddess of boundlessness and mothering light, gives your emotional landscape a quality of gentle reconstitution. Touch, sound, sight, they must soothe what life has frayed. You are drawn to the familiar yet expansive, the scent of rain on dry ground, the sound of someone laughing softly, the feel of a trusted hand near yours. These are not mere sensory inputs, they are portals back to emotional wholeness. Sensate intimacy must be inviting, not imposing. Loud noise, harsh lights, or clumsy affection disrupt your ability to feel safe. Even beauty, if too forced, can feel artificial. You're not moved by aesthetics unless they carry intention. You're not soothed by touch unless it arrives with presence. What your senses truly hunger for is emotional congruence. When the environment feels aligned with your inner truth, you let your body trust. You are a lover of rhythmic ritual, the scent of tea every morning, the feel of your partner's hand during quiet drives, the texture of a book cover you've read 100 times. These repeated sensory experiences are not habits, they're emotional anchor points. They remind your nervous system that love can be steady, undramatic, and dependable. You also offer sensate intimacy through careful, nourishing gestures. Adjusting a blanket, preparing food with quiet reverence, dimming the lights to match your partner's mood. Your moon gives through atmosphere. You create spaces that feel like exhalation. You attune not only to what someone wants, but to what their body hasn't known how to ask for yet. But your challenge lies in sensory withdrawal. When overwhelmed or disoriented, you may shut down and numb your senses, disappearing not out of disconnection, but out of self-protection. In those moments, it's not that you don't want to feel, it's that you need to feel gently and on your own terms. To deepen this intimacy, offer simple truth. Say, I connect most deeply when my senses are engaged slowly in emotionally calm spaces. Or, I'm sensitive to what surrounds me. I feel safest when the energy is quiet and real. These are not preferences. They're invitations to intimacy on your frequency. And let yourself be surprised by new sensory input. Let someone sing to you off-key but with love. Let a scent you've never known open a forgotten door. Let your body receive before it rationalizes. Because when sensation becomes not stimulation but soul signal, when your environment becomes a mirror of your inner peace, your Punarvasu Moon finds the intimacy it longs for, a connection that speaks through tone, texture, temperature, and time. A love that doesn't scream to be heard, but whispers gently enough for you to stay. Intimacy of kindness with Moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu Moon, kindness is the quiet architecture of love. It's the presence that doesn't rush, the voice that doesn't rise, the hands that don't demand. You don't need affection dressed in theatrics. You need kindness that rests beside you like shelter. Intimacy begins when someone's gentleness says, you don't have to prove yourself here. Ruled by Aditi, the cosmic mother who holds all creation without judgment, Punarvasu carries an emotional blueprint of restoration through reassurance. Your moon seeks relationships where kindness is not a performance, but a promise. You feel closest to those who offer consistency over grandeur, patience over urgency, and compassion without conditions. You are naturally nurturing. You sense what others need before they say it. You offer emotional steadiness even when your own waters are stirred. Your kindness often shows up as small gestures that carry weight. Remembering someone's comfort rituals, listening beyond their words, protecting their silence when they don't have answers yet. You give love as a return to balance, not a declaration of ownership. But when kindness becomes absent, or worse, performative, your system retracts. If someone offers compassion that feels hollow, or attention that expects repayment, your emotional body quietly resists. You are sensitive to hidden motives. You know when kindness is sincere, and when it's just a mask. And when you feel emotionally manipulated or guilted, you don't push back, you simply disappear. You crave a partner who knows that kindness is not about rescuing you, but about walking beside you. Someone who honors your rhythms, your soft spaces, your intellectual meanderings. Someone who doesn't interrupt your process with advice, but offers a steady hand with no pressure to explain. And yet, your challenge is to extend that same kindness inward. You're often so focused on maintaining peace, creating safety, and being emotionally available that you forget your own needs. You offer sanctuary to others, but sometimes deny yourself the permission to fall apart. Real intimacy asks you to let someone be the soft place for you too. To deepen this intimacy, name your emotional atmosphere. Say, kindness, for me, is steady presence, not advice or fixing. Or, I open most when care feels consistent and non-demanding. These aren't requests for coddling, they're guidelines for emotional trust. And let yourself receive kindness when you least expect it. Let someone bring you something you didn't ask for. Let them offer silence instead of solutions. Let their care reach the places you usually guard. Because when kindness becomes not appeasement, but attuned reverence, when it offers warmth without weight, love without obligation, your Punarvasu Moon finds the intimacy it was made for. A love that wraps around you like a returning breeze. A bond that says, you're already enough. Let me be soft so you can be strong when you're ready. Intimacy of growth with Moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu Moon, growth is a return, not a race. You don't evolve through pressure. You evolve through gentle expansion, supported by emotional security. You bloom when given time, room, and warmth. Growth, for you, is cyclical and nourishing. It is not about becoming someone new, but about rediscovering who you were before the world asked you to be someone else. Ruled by Aditi, the boundless mother, Punarvasu holds the archetype of rebirth after rupture. Your emotional body is shaped by a need to reclaim peace after storms. And so in intimacy, you are drawn to people who do not fear your resets, people who understand that sometimes you need to retreat in order to regenerate. Growth, to you, is sacred. It must be honored, not hurried. You thrive in relationships where evolution is emotionally supported, not just intellectually discussed. Where you are not asked to transform for someone else's comfort, but are encouraged to grow in your own rhythm. Where your setbacks are not seen as failures, but as natural pauses in your arc. Your moon seeks stability that makes change possible, not the kind of love that demands consistency as proof of devotion. You often guide others through growth as well, gently, patiently, without needing to control. You sense when someone is ready to take a new step, and you offer the right words or presence to support it. But your challenge lies in forgetting your own right to that same space. You may be so focused on creating comfort for others that you delay or dampen your own evolution to keep the peace. You need a partner who can hold your hand as you shift, not tug you forward, not keep you stuck. Someone who understands that you don't always grow in straight lines, that sometimes you regress to regroup, that you might need to revisit old versions of yourself just to integrate them. Growth for you is a spiral. It returns, it re-examines, it softens before it sharpens again. To deepen this intimacy, speak your tempo. Say, I grow in cycles. I need someone who doesn't rush me but walks beside me. Or, when change is gentle and supported, I don't resist. It becomes natural. These aren't disclaimers. They are foundations for lasting emotional trust. And let yourself step into growth, even when it's uncomfortable. Let your identity stretch. Let your ideas reshape. Let your heart choose something new, even if it scares you. You don't have to be fully ready. You only have to be willing to return to yourself with a little more compassion than before. Because when growth becomes not pressure but partnership, when your inner rhythm is mirrored, honored, and supported, your Punarvasu Moon finds its deepest intimacy. A love that grows like light through a canopy, slow, certain, and always returning you to your own sacred truth. A love that says, you are allowed to grow slowly. I'll still be here, rooted and reaching too. Quash, intimacy of activity with Moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu Moon, activity becomes intimate when it feels purposeful, calm, and quietly connective. You're not drawn to chaotic busyness or performative action. You open through shared routines, thoughtful gestures, and co-created peace. Whether it's folding laundry together, cooking side by side, or walking in silence at dusk, activity is your bridge between souls. It lets you be close without being overwhelmed. Ruled by Aditi, the cosmic mother of space and renewal, Punarvasu's essence is recreation. Your emotional energy thrives on doing things that restore order, bring comfort, or offer spiritual rhythm. You don't need adrenaline to feel alive. You need rituals that regulate. When the outer world feels scattered, you seek activities that bring your nervous system back to center, preferably with someone who understands how to move with you, not ahead of you. You bond most deeply in activity that mirrors your emotional truth, calm, layered, and cyclical. Gardening, reorganizing a home, revisiting a project together just to refine it. These are not trivial to you. They are containers of emotional presence. You don't just want to do something. You want to do it with awareness and shared intent. The energy behind the act matters as much as the act itself. You give through participation. When you offer to join someone in their task, help carry a load, or quietly accompany them on an errand, you're saying, I'm here. I see you. I'll walk with you. But you don't respond well to being dragged into others' chaos or made to perform closeness through constant togetherness. You need the freedom to engage when your energy says yes, and the grace to step back without punishment when you're replenishing. Your challenge is that you sometimes confuse peace with predictability. You may stick to the familiar to avoid disrupting emotional harmony, even when your spirit longs for renewal. But you are Punarvasu, the star of return, recreation, and rebalance. Activity doesn't have to be repetitive to be restorative. It can be alive, new, and still safe. To deepen this intimacy, say, I connect most deeply through shared, low-pressure activities, things that feel nourishing, not demanding. Or, I need time alone too, but when we do something together with care, it fills me. These are not conditions. They are invitations to co-regulate. And let yourself engage in unfamiliar rhythms. Try something new with someone, not to impress, but to experience. Let their way of doing things soften your own. Let your body move differently, even slightly. Not everything needs to be your version of peaceful for it to be meaningful. Because when activity becomes not obligation but a language of care, when it is shared, slow, and attuned to the emotional tone of the moment, your Punarvasu moon finds the intimacy it quietly builds toward every day. A love that grows through participation, not performance. A bond that says, we don't have to go far, let's just keep returning, together, again and again. Intimacy of allowance with moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu moon, allowance is emotional grace in motion. You don't just want to be accepted, you want to be given space to return to yourself, again and again, without being questioned, guilted, or misunderstood. Intimacy, for you, begins when someone says with presence, not pity, you don't have to be the same person today that you were yesterday. Ruled by Aditi, the goddess of infinity and unconditional space, Punarvasu energy is built on cyclical healing. You are always arriving back into your center, often through emotional tides that others can't see. Your moods, thoughts, and desires stretch like light between two shores, and you need a relationship that allows you to drift and return, shift and settle, pause and begin again. You thrive with partners who understand that allowance is not disengagement, but respect. You don't need someone to hover. You don't want to be managed. You want to be witnessed without being interpreted. When you're given space to move through your inner weather without being asked to perform emotional clarity, you don't pull away. You find your way back, more wholly, and you offer this same allowance generously. You're not interested in controlling others. You respect the sovereignty of the people you love. You know what it means to need room, and you give it freely. But when others don't extend that same kindness to you, when they expect predictability or define you by your latest emotional state, your spirit withdraws gently, but completely. Your love requires room to breathe. Sometimes, though, your challenge is internal. You try to stay consistent for others. You shape yourself to feel safe. You silence your shifts because you don't want to create ripples. But true allowance starts with you. You must give yourself the freedom to be in process, to be uncertain, to say, I don't know who I am right now, and still be worthy of love. To deepen this intimacy, speak with truth and softness. Say, I need space to come back to myself sometimes. That doesn't mean I'm leaving. Or when I feel allowed to just be, even when I'm messy or unclear, I trust more deeply. These are not excuses. They're maps to your inner rhythm. And let yourself be allowed without needing to explain it. Let someone offer you space without suspicion. Let yourself receive patience without feeling indebted. Let love sit beside your process, not demanding it speed up or slow down, but just honoring that you are becoming. Because when allowance becomes not absence but active respect, when your natural need for emotional renewal is met without resistance, your Punarvasu moon finds its truest intimacy. A love that doesn't hold you in place, but holds space for who you are right now. A bond that says, I'll meet you wherever you land and love you in every return. Intimacy of giving with moon in Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu moon, giving is an act of renewal. You don't give to impress or to earn affection. You give to restore balance, offer warmth, and reaffirm emotional safety. Your love expresses itself not through extravagance, but through consistency, sincerity, and deeply attuned care. When you give, it is with quiet devotion, not obligation, and with the soft intention. Let this bring you back to yourself. Ruled by Aditi, the all-encompassing mother goddess, Punarvasu holds within it the instinct to nourish and heal. Your moon gives from that same emotional wisdom. You might bring your partner tea without asking, rest a hand on their shoulder mid-conversation, or remember what soothes them even when they've forgotten themselves. You don't just give items or favors, you give presence. You give permission to be held without explanation. But your giving is rarely performative. In fact, much of what you offer may go unnoticed because it's woven into the fabric of daily life, tending to moods, adjusting energy, creating calm in subtle ways. You may even downplay your gifts, fearing that highlighting them would somehow take away their sincerity. Still, a part of you longs to be seen in the care you offer, not praised, but recognized. And here lies your emotional edge. You sometimes give without boundaries, especially when the emotional environment feels unstable. You try to fix it through kindness. You give more when others give less. You double your offering in hope of recentering the connection. But real intimacy for your moon doesn't come from overextension. It comes from mutual tending. From giving that is met, not merely received. You also grow when you realize that you don't have to be emotionally full to give something meaningful. Even your smallest offerings, your quiet presence, your thoughtful gesture, your calm under pressure, are gifts of grounding. You don't need to fix everything for your love to matter. You just need to be true in what you give. To deepen this intimacy, speak your rhythm. Say, I give in subtle ways. It means a lot to me when that's noticed. Or, my giving is calm and steady, but I feel safest when it flows in both directions. These aren't demands. They are emotional blueprints, helping others meet you in the language of care you naturally speak. And let yourself give with joy, not self-erasure. Give from fullness, not depletion. Let your offerings be received without needing to justify them. Let someone hold your gesture like a seed, not because it solves something, but because it grows trust between you. Because when giving becomes not duty, but devotional equilibrium, when care flows gently and without force, your Punarvasu Moon finds the intimacy it quietly models every day, a bond built not on grand displays, but on a steady rhythm of presence. A closeness that says, I give because it's who I am. And when you give too, we grow something real. Intimacy of receiving with Moon and Punarvasu Nakshatra. For your Punarvasu Moon, receiving is not passive. It is sacred reclamation. You give so often, so steadily, so quietly, that to truly receive, to let love arrive without resistance, can feel radical. It requires you to trust the offering, to slow your instinct to reciprocate, and to believe that care can flow toward you without being earned. Receiving for you is not a lack of strength. It's a form of spiritual openness. Ruled by Aditi, the boundless and nurturing mother, Punarvasu carries within it a deep inner knowing that love can be replenished, that safety can return, that cycles of separation are always followed by reconnection. And so, your moon is wired to rebuild and recenter. But when it comes to receiving, your first instinct may be to deflect, to minimize, to respond with, you didn't have to. Or worse, to offer something back too quickly. So the balance is restored before you've even absorbed the gift. This is because you often associate love with holding others, with being the source of stability. When someone offers you that same anchoring, emotionally, physically, energetically, it can stir vulnerability. You may feel exposed, undeserving, or quietly afraid that if you truly let love in, it might leave before you can get used to it. But your heart aches to be received. To have someone sense your needs without being told. To be held without having to collapse first. To be surprised by care that arrives in rhythm with your emotional tides. You don't need extravagance. You need attuned sincerity. A partner who brings you something warm after you've been in your head too long. Who touches your back gently when your thoughts go quiet. Who doesn't make a show of it, but keeps showing up. When you allow yourself to receive, something inside you rests. You remember that restoration is not something you always have to create alone, that you can be the nurturer and still be nurtured. That softness isn't something you earn by being useful. It is your birthright. To deepen this intimacy, speak gently and truthfully. Say, I'm learning how to receive. It means the most when love is offered with quiet care. Or, I don't always show it, but when someone gives to me thoughtfully, I feel deeply safe. These are doorways to your trust. They help others approach your emotional core with presence, not pressure. And let yourself linger in the moment of receiving. Let the blanket cover your shoulders before you say thank you. Let the compliment land without needing to downplay it. Let someone cook for you, help you, hold you, without trying to even the score. Because when receiving becomes not discomfort, but a channel of renewal, When you let love move toward you and take root, your Punarvasu Moon finds its truest emotional rest. A bond where you are not just the giver of sanctuary, but its recipient. A closeness that says, you don't have to hold it all. You're allowed to be held now.